What up, everyone? Today I'm going to talk about how in the future we're going to be pricing everything in Bitcoin. Now, first and foremost, what does this mean? What does it mean to price things in Bitcoin? Well, in El Salvador, for example, many places you go, they'll just say 2,000 sats or maybe 5,000 sats for like a papusa or something like that. And what this means is the actual unit of account on the menu or in the store is denominated in satoshis. How is this beneficial though? How is it beneficial to have a unit of account not in dollars? Well, it changes the whole paradigm because it shows that you don't care about what the dollar value is, or you don't take any note on it. You just care what the actual satoshi amount is. And while we all know Bitcoin is very volatile, I think it's actually good to start pricing in satoshis over in dollars, if you're not that sensitive to kind of volatility in the markets. So I think this actually does, over time, it will actually cause more ease for buyers, but also sellers. In the end, nobody wants to have to deal with the spot exchange rate of whether Canadian dollars, US dollars, euros to satoshis. They don't like to do that. They don't want to do that because in the end, there's kind of a lot of loss on the currency conversion side, but it's a lot of math. It's a lot to keep track of. So I think just pricing in satoshis only, not worrying about the price of whatever on the outside, just focusing on the satoshis. I think that's what we need to see. So, I think not having a currency conversion would be pretty cool. I don't like currency conversions. Whenever I convert my currency, I was actually getting euros not too long ago, and they just gave me a bad rate. The rate was like, at the time at least, it was like 0.98 US dollar to euro, 0.98, and they gave me a rate of like 1.1 or 1.12. And there was really only one place I can go, my bank at the time. If you go to the airport, you get charged like a 20% fee, and it's just bad because everything is centralized with these financial institutions. So I think that's a big win. There won't be exchange rate fees, but there also won't be bad currency conversion rates. So I think the risk is if you're running like a business, like a restaurant, you got to pay your employees, and the shift ends, you get 100,000 sats. That's a low amount of sats for a shift. But let's just say the business makes 100,000 sats. And that's great and everything. And you pay all your bills, you pay your employees, but then you realize you got to pay some of your vendors in dollars. That's problematic because how can you forecast what the volatility of Bitcoin will be? What if Bitcoin drops 20% in US dollars, but you still have those commitments in dollars to pay your suppliers for the goods? You can't do everything on a Bitcoin standard end to end necessarily. At least in the United States, it's really, really hard. So you can get screwed on that front. So I think, the risks of all this is the volatility side of things, of pricing things in Bitcoin. But that's why I think it's okay to price it in Bitcoin, but maybe have like a reserve for your suppliers or for whoever, and converting some of that Bitcoin into dollars that you do know you have those expenses coming up. There's, at the end of the day, like we can do everything we can to try to onboard more and more people onto a Bitcoin standard, but there will be times for people that they just don't want to do it. They don't want anything to do with it. And that's fine. You got to respect people's wishes. You got to respect businessman's decision. At the end of the day, you do not want to kind of force people to do something, because then they're not going to be, if the market goes down, they're going to be quick to sell and quick to blame as well. So, at the end of the day, like we're going to see adoption grow over time, hopefully. And I think this will actually decrease the volatility and eventually it'll smooth it or go down. And that's good. We want volatility to go down. We want adoption to grow. And I think in these cases, we're really going to see more people kind of denominate in satoshis, denominate in Bitcoin as the unit of account. Over the past 14 years, as many of us know, it's been so volatile. You'll see it go up 10, 20% in a day. You'll see it go down 10, 20% in a day. or a month or a week. So it's not for the faint of heart. And, some of the things with this is like, for accepting over Bitcoin rails, I like that. I like accepting over Bitcoin rails and having the individual choose if they want to hold dollars or Bitcoin. I think that's the future, that what we want to see. And then maybe even just having 10, 20, 30% of your treasury in Bitcoin, like we saw with Semler Scientific or even Block right now. Block is actually doing it pretty well because they're on a Bitcoin standard somewhat, but they still have a lot of US dollars and cash that they need to manage with their day-to-day operations. So what Block is doing is 10% of their profits go into the Bitcoin treasury, but 90% still go into cash, right? So it's actually a pretty decent deal that they have going. So they're still able to get that upside exposure without seeing huge downside if the market were to turn. I think we do need to see broader, widespread acceptance before we start to see, 100% conversion to Bitcoin for businesses and conversion to satoshis. And I think we need to see legal tender status. I do not want to see a situation where the government says to me, hey, you owe capital gains tax on that 50 Satoshi transaction you sent, right? It's just not going to happen. Or if it does happen, it's going to be very painful to figure out. So I think that's something that needs to go away, is we need to see legal tender status or just no capital gains tax up to a certain dollar threshold. I think we're going to see it very frequently in countries that do adopt Bitcoin, the kind of pricing in Satoshis, pricing in Bitcoin. But in the United States, we're dollarized. We're very kind of used to the dollar, and I think it's going to take a while for us to do that. Not saying certain businesses won't do it, like farmers markets and stuff like that, but general big companies, Fry's, Walmart, Kroger, Safeway, McDonald's, Starbucks, all these places, most of them will be pricing in dollars. So a future priced in Bitcoin is a future of understanding the asset, and also we need to create better wallets. So we need more education. We need more people learning about what Bitcoin is, how it will help change the world, because we can't just price everything into Bitcoin right now or tomorrow or next month or next year when people don't even know anything about it, right? You can't just do that unilaterally. It will cause tremendous confusion. People won't know how to handle it. And at the end of the day, education is key to changing the financial system. And I think right now, a lot of people are not informed, or they're not willing to learn or accept kind of what Bitcoin actually is. So anyways, what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think everything in the future will be priced into Bitcoin? How would that look too? And if not, why do you think that will be? Do you think it'll be because of the volatility? Do you think it'll be because of regulation? And if you do think it'll happen, what are the next places you think it'll happen? We know it's happening in El Salvador. Personally, I think Costa Rica or Argentina are one of those countries. Anyways, I really like this one, guys. Please be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, like, stream those sats. You guys mean the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.